Hey everybody, Dave Tribbett here, owner of V3Connect, and this is another great Focus on the Community interview. I'm super excited to be talking today with Daryl Griggs, owner of the local United Martial Arts Academy here in the Rogue Valley, and I'm super excited to share our conversation with all of you. Let's jump into that interview now. Super excited to be with you here today, Daryl. Can you tell us a little bit about what it is you do and your business?
Anyone that knows me knows that my business is a martial arts school, fitness center, but I really focus on interactions and growing the individual, whether it be child or adult. Our youngest is actually 18 months that's in the program, and my eldest is 78 right now. So I'm really proud of that. It's a large community that we're building. And they literally, by a byproduct, learn self-defense, body awareness, those kind of things through it.
That's great. Now, where are you located?
I'm right next to the Albertsons on West Main,
Okay.
right here by the tanning salon, Paradise Tans,
Okay.
in a little nook and cranny off to the side of Albertsons. I love it.
Right.
It's like our own little space.
Yeah. How much space do you guys have there?
Floor space is 2,000 square foot
Oh, that's not bad.
that we have. Yeah, it's great. It's just until you run out of room,
Nice.
which sometimes it has been the problem. So yeah.
Yeah. How big are your classes typically, like before COVID and all of that?
I love that before COVID. So
Yeah. I
typically
hate to
classes
mention,
are
have to mention it.
exactly.
Yeah.
But before COVID, it was roughly between 15 to 25 on the floor at a time. And I love the spacing. I love the class, which is why we were bursting at the seams. We want to overflow before we decide to go ahead and expand further.
Okay. So you're not quite at capacity. You still have some room to grow there.
Definitely have room to grow. My master, Grandmaster Evans, would say I have a lot of work to do. If I have any openings in my schedule, they should be filled, all the way around. Post-COVID or during COVID, it tells us that we have to work a whole nother model, which is challenging in itself because I can't have that many students on my floors now.
Yeah. Has it been difficult to work through some of the restrictions and stuff like that? Because some businesses, I do business consulting and evaluations, and some businesses are just not profitable anymore because of that. They just are not able to maximize their square footage.
One of the things that I really wanted to do prior to COVID was go ahead and expand and open up another space. With COVID happening the way it did, and obviously you don't plan for things like this, I was really thankful that we stayed where we were, and I listened to my wife when she told me, let's burst out a little bit more before we go ahead and expand,
Mm-hmm.
is the fact that moving to different class sizes and then opening up more class time has been both a blessing and a curse. Um, the curse side of it is you have to be very efficient with your time.
Mm-hmm.
The blessing is I feel one-on-one time with my students because we got to a point where we just exploded in size, and I get to know my student base a little bit better in my martial arts program like I do with the fitness side of it. As far as the restrictions go, I'm being completely honest with you. I just wanted my gym open. You just tell me what I have to do to service my community, and I do it. And with every one of my classes, I have to wipe everything down. I have to mop my floors in between classes, which built in a 30-minute slot at minimum for just cleaning between each class.
Well,
No, that's not a bad thing. It turned
yeah.
out to be an amazing thing because it gave me time to reevaluate how the class went, get prepped for the next class because I didn't build it on for myself. I would go from one class to the next class to the next class. And it forced me to take this 30 minutes to clean and go. And I don't think I'll go back from that. I like that flow
Yeah.
because now I can breathe.
Yeah. That's a good point. I've always tried to maintain a buffer and stuff in there. And it's a really good point too. That's a really interesting thought because a lot of individuals are kind of concerned about how they want things to be 100% the way they were. I don't think that I would go back to doing things the way I was doing them either. I actually enjoy some of the changes and stuff like that structurally I had to implement. Now, so there at your martial arts studio, what type of services and training do you do?
I do one-on-one, I do group, both fitness and martial arts. And what I'm really trying to do is target what the individual is needing to happen, whether it be, everybody likes that term weight loss, which is a horrible term in my opinion, because you got to learn new habits, not work out to lose weight. You have to put habits in place that are sustainable over a period of time. And that's what I teach them. My martial arts students know that it's going to be a great workout no matter what, but I'm going to be incessant about training. So it's going to be that one kick over and over and over. We're going to hit that targeted group area over and over, and then we're going to change it to the second day of the week and go back and forth. But it's very monotonous, and I think a lot of people miss that aspect of training.
Is that kind of the kind of muscle memory kind of thing that builds over time?
You do. I mean, as far as in martial arts, that repetitive nature allows for those movements to move from your conscious to your subconscious. So your reaction time ends up being a lot faster over time because of it. And that's literally the purpose of us training it day in and day out the way we do it, so that when you do spar, when we get to use those techniques, it literally happens, and you're half the time you're like, whoa, I didn't even realize I could move that fast, or I didn't realize I remembered that aspect of it. And so I love to see those aspects. Or my people that are in my fitness who couldn't do a push-up or a sit-up, or doing 5 and 10, and they're like, they don't realize they're doing them. They just do it because that's part of the workout, and we've built up to it. We've built that core strength up, and so on and so forth. So it's really nice.
So it's kind of interesting. One, I found it fascinating what you're saying about like the physical health, right? Because we both served in the military, and when I got out, I was glad to serve, but I got up to like 225 pounds, and I was not a happy individual. And I came to a point in my life where I was just like, I can't live this way anymore. And like evaluating like why we eat, why we consume what we eat, why our bodies like crave certain things. Like I would crave like chocolate or junk food when all my body was saying is I'm low on vitamin D or something like that.
Right.
And so balancing out my nutrition and stuff was like really important, and understanding why we eat, because it creates, very rich fatty foods create, what is it? Like the endorphins and stuff like that, the feel good chemicals and stuff.
Yeah.
And I don't know if you have any thoughts about that. And then I was thinking about the repetition, like in the movie Karate Kid, because he didn't know why he had to do so much of what he was doing. But then when he first went into the fights, he was like, wow, that's really muscle memory.
We're built in a society now to where it's like, and I don't really think it's like anything more than we're so social media driven. So you want to be able to show what it is that you're doing that's spectacular. And the reality is, in order for that spectacular to happen, which is just fluff, the things that actually work and work well are that repetitive nature of the straightforward movements, which just don't look as gratifying on camera as it is to your body over time. It's that slow process that I get people to understand. It's slow and steady. Karate Kid, I think it's the perfect picture of what it is that we do, because you're doing the same things over and over and over, and you're like, I need something more flashy and more flair to keep me interested. And the reality is, you just have to stay the course. And when you watch him in this tournament, he didn't realize his body moved that way because because he was doing things that allowed him to grow, but he didn't realize. And I do that same deal with my tinies classes and my very young kids. We worked through games, so they're learning as they play, and then they rattle off home rules. They do whatever kicks we need. They count and talk in Korean. So they're learning so much, and that's where that give and take comes through. So you're giving all your time to me, and you're sweating, and in the end, you started to see those changes that are happening.
It's such a powerful point because a lot of individuals I think that I talk to and maybe that you've talked to may be unhappy with a result, but they don't want to go back to the new input and stick with it and apply it right to their lives and that training and stuff where you have not just the knowledge reading a book about a martial art, but actually going and doing that becomes wisdom because it bears fruit. We actually have the factual application, right?
I think it's that, yeah, I agree completely.
So what are the age range of the individuals that you have in your classes?
And so, like I was saying, I have a Tinies program. My youngest is 18 months, and it
Wow.
goes up to 4 years old. By the time they hit 5, and I have several that have crossed over into my regular classes, um, they're just running. You know, they know what's going on, they know terminology, and they want to be a part of with the older kids at that point, which is great. And just to be completely honest, never wanted to train a child that was 18 months or 2 or 3 or 4. I wanted to start him out at 5 or 6.
Mhm.
And one of my black belts um, wanted to earn some extra money. And I was like, well, let's go ahead and get a program together because he's really good with the little kids. And he lasted for a week and a half because he's a football player in high school. So obviously he didn't think that one through. So I got stuck with a handful of kids and what to do. And it taught me patience. It taught me that to remember that whole conversation. And I say is children will learn what you allow them to learn. So if you put it in front of them, they will soak it in. And I found with my tinies, it worked the same way. So what I did was I developed a belting system that took the yellow belt, which is the first belt you go from white, and we expanded into a whole system of its own so that they could have bite-sized pieces. And I have a 3-year-old right now that can tell you his home rules, that can count in Korean, that can do his basic kicks. And he's amazing. And every time I look at him and when he's training, it fuels me to remember I'm putting out good training and remember how it's reaching each individual. I can reach a 3-year-old just as well as I can reach a 15-year-old, as well as I can reach a 27-year-old, a 78-year-old, you know, but I have to stay the course and I have to be open to listen and learn. I feel like I learn as much as I put out, which is the funniest part of it all. I get so much out of it.
So you're an entrepreneur in the Rogue Valley, a business owner during a very difficult time as far as businesses go. But I'm curious about your background. What put you on this path? How did you end up with a martial arts academy? Kind of what is that background for you?
So first off, I love the term entrepreneur. I'm from the South. I'm 46 years old. What they call people like us, we're hustlers. You know, you're going to get out in the morning and you're going to make a way to make money before that night is out. So, and I'm not talking like anything negative. I'm talking you're going to put your nose down and just work. I own a business. Actually, I own a couple of businesses. But the thing that people don't realize is my work day isn't an 8-hour or a 10-hour work day. It's a 15 to 20-hour work day on some days. And more times than not, that's how I run my schedule. With that being said, I've worked and trained at several martial arts schools over the last few decades, and I started off and my dad got me involved in martial arts, but he didn't allow me to finish my black belt. One, I was a little too rambunctious, and then 2, he was more afraid for me if I had a black belt, because when I was a kid, a black belt was considered, you had to register as a lethal weapon. That was that whole mentality back then, where it doesn't have the same status as it did. You know, how I started this school is I actually had a school before, a training center before, didn't understand the business side of it. I just knew how to work the floor, and they got me in trouble. So I had to try it again, understanding that there is a business side of it. I have to be at the desk as much as I have to be on my floors. And truth be told, I had people that brought me kids. They kept bringing me kids because they knew the type of training that I did in a cheer gym. And so they kept bringing me martial artists to condition and to get ready for tournament. And then they asked me to come in and teach a couple of classes. And before you know it, they asked me to take over the school. So it wasn't something that as a child, I saw myself owning a school, because I thought that'd be cool. I'd be like Bruce Lee, and all my other heroes on television. But as an adult, I didn't see that as a real thing. I didn't think about it. But the need is what I came into. And so I met the need, and I grew, which was really pretty cool, both on the mats and off.
Absolutely. I'm just curious, what are some of the other businesses that you have?
So I have a partner shipping a coffee company that we just started. And then I also look at human health and safety as another aspect, which is another business where I teach CPR, first aid, like all your medical training classes. I just dive into that, refresher courses and those kind of things, which takes more time. And everybody's like, how do you make the time? I was like, I just plan my 24 hours. I plan it accordingly.
Yeah.
We all have the same.
Yeah. It'd be nice if we had more time some days.
It'd be dangerous if some of us had more time.
Yeah, right. So this is great. When we were talking about the first time that we had actually spoke a couple weeks ago, we had talked about kind of the changes and adaptations that were having to be made, and you had mentioned the changes with COVID. What's been the hardest thing with everything going on with COVID, and what's kind of one of the really cool things that you've found that really kind of surprised you and could help some other individuals potentially?
So the hardest thing with COVID is the ability to help those that come to me for it. So you don't come to my studio to sit up there and just fight people. You come to my studio for encouragement, growth, to help grow yourself as far as self-esteem and those kind of things. And not being able to properly feed those needs was really the hardest thing for me. That is the number one thing. And then two, I'm a social individual. So not having my people in the gym with me was hard on me. That's my social outlet, because this is where I spend, I'd say about 80% of my time is working here. So learning more about Zoom, FaceTime, scheduling, more scheduling, my social media presence, being able to reach out on different platforms and connect with people has been like the strongest aspect of what it is that I've gotten out of COVID. COVID spawned my ability to step back for a second, work on my curriculum, work on myself, and keep pushing forward. The number one thing that I got from this whole COVID experience is what I mean to my students population. COVID kicked off, and the number one thing that was told to me the day one of everything having to close down by my parents were, make sure you charge me next month. We want to make sure you're here when we come out on the other side of this.
Wow.
So when people believe in you that much, then you take a step back and you realize, I better make sure that I'm giving them everything that I can possibly give them, because they're taking care of me. So I lost a bunch of students because of this, and I've had a large number of them already come back after this. But the reason why I'm still here is because my people believe in me, and they refuse to let me think otherwise. And just to have that realization put in your face was humbling.
Wow. That's an amazing point. I think that a lot of companies right now are having a very difficult time. And I think you were saying that, when restrictions started to let up, you just wanted you to do whatever. You have cleaning cycles and all that now, in between all the sessions, kind of sanitize everything. And, everything typically is like very clean anyway, but this is like super like deep cleaning, sanitizing, disinfecting everything, so that's fascinating. Now, what part did technology, if at all, play in how you were able to continue serving individuals during COVID, and when your academy there had to be closed to the public?
Well, it's actually really funny, because everybody's talking about how the downtime affected them and how they had all this free time. I don't believe in free time. I believe in the opportunity to work more in different ways in different areas.
Hmm.
So I had to get on the bus. My personal training went to Zoom calls, and we would still get together. We trained because anyone, um, you can train anyone. And what I've learned is what I bring to it is that accountability piece, that push that they're looking for, that I bring to the whole scenario. And then I've also had the opportunity, as far as growth goes, people in Texas and Idaho and Florida that have trained with me in the past, in California, that had the opportunity to come train with me again because they're not doing anything else and they might as well get in shape. So they reconnected. So like as much as I lost, I built up a whole nother aspect of my business that I'm not going to stop now, that I'll keep up and running. So the Zoom calls is not something I'm trying to get rid of. I just learned another avenue to bring in a revenue stream. So I'm happy about that.
You
You
gotta
know.
love additional revenue streams for sure. Right? You're like, that's
Yes,
good.
makes
Um,
life happy.
yeah. So it sounds like technology has played an important part, and it sounds like it's been for pretty much everybody I talked to, a pretty aggressive learning curve, per se, with adaptation and what needs to be done. Um, what's your philosophy, if any, around just conditioning and physical health and well-being?
My philosophy is really simple. Stay boring. Find a routine, stick with it. It's not supposed to be sexy. It's supposed to be a routine. You do it every day. Anyone that's successful, you can ask them what the routine is. They will have one because that's the only way you can maximize your 24 hours. And so I'm all about just keep it simple.
Mhm.
I have some ladies that just want the accountability of me kicking their butt. They will come in, they will change their shoes or change their clothes, and they will take off out the front door and go do their walking course. And then they will put their stuff back on and they will leave. Accountability. So as long as you're doing what you're supposed to do, you have someone to hold you accountable. If you're not willing to do it yourself, I'm one of those people. If I'm here, I'll train. If I'm at home, I have a tendency to not do what I need to do. Luckily, I have a gym to go train in,
Mhm.
so I'm kind of blessed that way. But accountability and just keep it boring, you know,
Yeah.
know what you need to do for you and just consistently do it, consistent pace for you.
I know that you do a lot in the community. What kind of ways do you like to serve and add value to our community? And what kind of nonprofits and whatnot do you like to support?
So, like we met through the chamber. I love the chamber because it allows me a platform to meet other business owners and see what's needed in the community and see where I can fit in to fill those holes. Also with that, I work with the American Cancer Society, so I do Relay for Life down here in the Valley. So if you're a part of Relay for Life, you generally know who I am because what I came in and did was I became the focal point for our youth to get involved and start giving into the community. So they would come out there, they'd work, and they literally blow up my phone around relay time. What can we do? What can we do? Because we want to be a part. So we've taken it from being such a chore to be giving of your time. And I'm teaching our youth, and that's how I serve the community, is I teach the youth how to serve the community because when I get older, they're going to take my place. And so they do it now. My daughter's in college in Idaho, and another one's up in Portland, and they will come down for the events because they want to be a part of them, you know. And then also I do some work with Real Men Wear Pink, which is just raising awareness for the same deal, American Cancer Society, but in a different way. It's putting myself out there, which, believe it or not, is really hard for me to do. I like to put my school out there in front and lead from behind. But that calls for me to do things like this where I'm more out front and I can speak about what it is that the school is doing, what my kids are doing here in the community. Fun fact, I don't have any trophies in my gym, not one, which is really abnormal for a martial arts school or a fitness gym or anything for that matter that trains athletes. And the reason is because I have pictures of all my kids and I can tell you everything that they're doing, whether it is in high school, elementary school, junior high, college. I have kids that work for Disney. I have others that are Marine Corps, Army, Air Force, one that's in school for Navy. You know, like these are the things that mean more. I feel old because some of my kids that I trained and taught over the years have brought me their kids now. So I'm not sure if that's good or bad at this point. But, you know, like those are the things that I stand for. You know, I want them to do more and I get to live vicariously through all their accomplishments, which is way more exciting than dusting trophies for me.
As far as business reopening and stuff, have you reopened now as far as the academy goes, or what does that look like for you?
So we're open, quote open. I can only have so many students on the floor at a time. So my gym capacity right now that I'm allowed is 25 in the studio. So I try to keep it closer to half that. So I'm trying to keep it roughly no more than about 14, 15 on my floor. Parents sit out in the cars, which is really weird for me. And it's happened for a lot of us, but it's one of those things we get to deal with right now just for safety's sake. With that, I think that's the hardest thing. And then cleaning in between each class. First day we opened back up to classes. I had several classes for today and then some private and personal trainings. And then at the end of the night, I'm halfway done with the floors and I had to go outside, talk to some people. And my wife was telling me that my son said, "Mama, I don't know why Daddy's mopping the floor again because I don't think it's had time to get dirty." He keeps mopping it over and over. So that's a change that we get to live with. I don't really mind it per se. It's just more attention to detail. And, you know, either you can complain about it, which my wife doesn't want to hear me complain. So I just move on.
You and me both. So it's fascinating because, you know, I'm liking some of the changes actually due to COVID, and we were talking about that a little bit. And I think a lot of business is going to be forever changed. You know,
Yes.
some of the things that I was tracking as an example is like they have a huge expansion of telehealth now that wasn't supposed to happen for 5 to 8 years.
Right.
Huge expansion in, you know, adaptive and modified education, home-based education. So it's really fascinating. So where do you want to take the integration of technology? Are you going to create some type of series or virtual space? Because now you can reach out and touch the proverbial world wherever they have internet and on value people's lives. What is that vision for like the next 12 months and let's say 3 years or so?
One of the things that I wanted to do anyway was get online status, you know, so like I like the Facebook groups right now because it keeps it smaller and bite sized for me. And then I can sit up there and put out training routines, offer web training through Zoom is what the platform that I'm liking right now. I'm not saying that's going to stay that way forever. I'm pulling in cameras so that you can train from in the desert or wherever that you may be. And I say the desert because I have like my daughter, I have another daughter that's over in Saudi, you know, love my child. But you can be anywhere and you can still be a part of the family. I have kids that are in college across the country, so they can literally just dial in, and the idea that they can dial in, they can do class with us. Obviously, I'm not going to be able to talk at that point because I'm with the classes right there, but they can do the same kicks, punches, workout routines that we're doing in-house. And it's one of the things, one of my good friends and I would say mentor in business has been after me for a while that we've been developing anyhow. And he's just like, "See, I told you." you would be in a really bad place right now had we not start moving forward with this. So, like listening to him and his insight on it has put me ahead of the curve because it didn't hit me as hard. I was down for the better part of the first week, and then I was up hobbling the second week and then running the third. So I had my classes back up. They were running online. We did great with them. I learned a new way to teach. I learned an attention to detail to be able to vocalize what it is I want you to do, because we're literally talking through a screen and I couldn't move your leg, move your arm, and manipulate your body in such a way so you could see and feel what is it I want you to do. So that was hugely challenging, but rewarding too, because I got to work some skill sets that were really dormant in me up to that date in time.
Nice.
So I love it.
That's great. Well, this has been a very fascinating interview today with you, Daryl, and I greatly appreciate all of your insights. And like I was saying, I think the world is forever changed. And of course, this has been another exciting, thought-provoking interview for V3 Connect, Focus on the Community. I appreciate your time today, Daryl, and I'm sure we'll talk again soon.
Yes, sir. Always fun.